Hello neighbors, it's Brad here at Etrailer, and today we're taking a look at the Empire Faucets dual handle faucet for your RV. So the dual handle design has acrylic knobs, which have a really nice feel to them. This is going to be a quarter turn, so a quarter turn will open your hot or cold open, and so you can combine whatever temperature you want, just like a normal faucet. Now these do have brass compression valves in here, which is really nice because the brass will hold up a little bit longer and give you a little bit more durability than your typical plastic. Now this does have a nice chrome finish to it, and this is really just a nice option for either replacing your damaged faucet or just upgrading to kind of give a new facelift to your bathroom. Now this does have a built-in aerator, which is really nice. That's going to aerate that water coming out, making your hands quite a bit easier to clean. Our old one actually didn't have that, so this is going to be a really nice upgrade. You'll also see this little hook here, and you may be wondering what that's for. That's going to be to put your chain for your plug stop, so that's kind of nice that that's built in as well. Now installation is going to be extremely easy. It's going to replace your standard size RV faucet. It should be just drop in and go. Your fitting should all fit. And it's a quick way to make your bathroom look quite a bit nicer, just with a couple turns of a few nuts there. So great option if you are planning on replacing or upgrading in your RV. To begin our installation, we're going to go ahead and remove our old faucets. You're going to want to make sure that you're not hooked up to water. You're going to want to open this up and let everything kind of drain out. That way you're not having to deal with a bunch of water when unhooking. Now it's pretty easy from here. We're just going to get access to it underneath it. Now it might be a tight fit, but you're going to kind of feel it with your hands. Like I said, there's slots on it for it to be pretty easy if they weren't terribly tight. So go ahead and get these loose. So taking those locking plates off is going to gain this to where it's going to be able to move. Now in order to actually detach it though, there is the hookup lines for the actual plumbing, and those are also going to be a threaded collar. You're just going to want to unspin those and it should separate. So following these PEX lines up, you can see that white collar. That's where you're actually going to unthread it. Now you might want to have either a trash can or a bucket or something just in case there's residual water. You can collect that rather than it going on the floor of your camper. So this is what it looks like. Again, you have plenty of grip here to be able to just twist this off. If it is tight, you can put just a small wrench on it and try to get that first little bit, but the rest should be just hand tightened on. So go ahead and get both of those removed. So now let's get these locking collars off by simply turning these counterclockwise, and these will thread off of that plastic plumbing shank that's on the sink. There's one, and then we'll get this next one here. So you should have these locking collars here on both sides, and once those are loosened up, your sink should come out. Now sometimes people have used caulk or whatever it may be, so you might have to take, this is a putty knife, and kind of run it along that edge to break the seal, but this should come out pretty easily. Now's a good opportunity to clean this area up, as it's gotten just some gunk buildup over time, and this is also going to make a nice clean seal or a seat for the new faucet to go into place. So just with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and a rag, this comes up pretty easily. Now if you do have residual caulk, I suggest also taking a putty knife and getting that up as well. So now that we have our old faucet out, we can simply take our new one here, and that's just going to slide in those two holes. Now it did come with these compression nuts here, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tighten them down a decent amount, but still leave myself a little bit of room. That way we can set this faucet exactly where we want it. So now I've gone ahead and I've tightened those up to where they're snug-ish. There's still a bit of wiggle room here up top, and that way I can get my faucet perfectly in place before finally tightening it down. Now I'll just line this up. I'm going to move this forward, and I'm going to just kind of center it here. And once I have it in place, I'll just put a little bit of pressure and then do a final turn on these compression nuts here. Now you don't have to get too crazy, just like I said, hand tightening and just kind of giving as tight as you can with your hands or close to that is going to make sure that it has enough pressure just to stay in place. So once you go ahead and do that, kind of give it a quick little move, make sure that it's secure. Now you can also put a little bit of caulk here underneath or some plumber's putty if you'd like to, just to kind of get that extra watertight seal. But Right now, our faucet is not going to move and it's in place. So now we can go ahead and hook up our plumbing. You're going to want to make sure that the hot line that you took off goes to the hot side and the cold goes to the cold. Ours is Pecked, so it's a little bit easier to see. So if yours isn't Pecked, you might want to put just a little piece of tape or a note or something on that. That way you're hooking it up to the proper one. Now, just like we took it off, just simply slide that onto the threads. So now I'm just going to take our proper plumbing line, and as you can see, when we removed it, we just did counterclockwise. We're going to tighten it back up by going clockwise. Now sometimes it kind of can be tricky for those threads to line up, so holding the pipe to where it's kind of parallel with it, and sometimes even doing a back turn, doing a counterclockwise action can kind of seat those threads, and that way you're not cross-threading it. Once you have those threads lined up, go ahead and tighten those down as tight as you can with your hands, and that should make our connections complete. So now all that's left to do is hook our RV up to water, and then once we do that, we'll check for leaks. Now, if a leak occurs, more than likely it's going to be at that compression fitting that we just put onto the plumbing. So double check that it's not dripping. You may need to tighten it or reseat it, and if that's the case, shut your water back off and take that completely off and reset it, and that should fix it. And then from there, you can simply turn your handles open and your faucet's going to be working properly. And that was a look at the Empire Faucets dual handle faucet for your RV.